Well, hello everyone and welcome. This is my video coverage of Allegheny Plateau Division's 2018 Christmas show. Now, this was the train show that Division 11 does every year in conjunction with Brookville's Victorian Christmas celebration. And it's a 3-day event which runs from Friday to Sunday, so it's basically a weekend thing. And this video was shot over the course of those 3 days. Now, this show isn't very large. In fact, there were only 3 setups, not including the make and take tables. But this is actually the first ever train show I've attended, and it's also the first ever train show I've displayed at. So I was really excited to participate in this event and work with the members of Division 11 as well. So the first setup we'll take a look at is Division 11's modular layout, which includes modules built by the club members. And there's quite a few modules that make up this large layout, but as you may be able to tell, this is a work in progress as much is left unfinished. During the show, members were actually working on the layout, and in fact you can see Raleigh Miller, one of the club members in the background here, working on a few of his projects. Those who aren't working on the layout are the ones running the trains. And of course, the trains are what everyone comes to the show to see. And running the trains we have club members Chris Lasher, Howdy Wiedefer, Al Crate, and I believe there's a few other members here running trains as well, but I'm not exactly sure who's running what. You may also notice there's quite a few road names running on this layout, including a few locals such as the Pittsburgh and Shawmut Railroad and the Buffalo and Pittsburgh Railroad. Now the Pittsburgh and Shawmut train you see on screen at the moment is actually mine from back when I was collecting HO scale trains. And after I got out of the hobby, I did hold on to these because not only were they a local railroad for me, but my grandfather actually worked as a machinist for the Shawmut back in the day. I did put these away with hopes that maybe someday I would get the opportunity to maybe run these again at a train show, and sure enough. The other 2 Shawmut diesels, which don't display the white names on the sides, belong to club member Al Crate, and he's the one running them at the moment. Al has quite a collection of Pittsburgh and Shawmut locomotives he's built and painted, both in their factory red, yellow, and black paint schemes, and the red, white, and blue as you see here.
why we're here. We're kind of hoping we can sneak in early. Hey, why did it stop?
So before we move on to looking at the next setup, I just want to flash by some photos I took of the modular layout. And this also gives you guys a closer look at things as well. Personally, I quite enjoyed all the different modules on display, even if some of them were in the middle of being built. What really took me by surprise was seeing the old Shawmut steam locomotives, because again, that's a local railroad for me. Still, I'm not old enough to remember the days of steam on the Shawmut, considering the fact I believe it was somewhere in the 1950s when Shawmut did away with their steam locomotives. I don't know if any of you guys noticed this or not, but I actually snuck in Optimus Prime on Raleigh's cargo transfer setup, and needless to say, he doesn't care much for the Western Star variant either. Then again, I think he's more of a fan of the old cabovers based on what you see here. The next display we'll take a look at is Harry Dunworth's Christmas tree loop, and this is O-gauge. Now, this may not be as impressive as the modular layout we previously looked at, but if anything's for sure, the kids get a lot of enjoyment out of this. And those of us who've had a model train set when we were younger, we've been there. A lot of enjoyment comes from just laying down on the floor, watching the train go around, and if you have a sound system, it just completely brings the train set to life that much more. Overall, it was a setup I quite enjoyed, and it's like I say, a Christmas tree just isn't complete until you've got a train set running around it. Well, the last display to look at in this video is the G-gauge loop, which is my setup. Now, originally club member Bob McKay set up his G-scale trains at this show, but after talking it over with him and club member Gary Lasher, I was given permission to attend the show and set up my trains instead. What you see is my entire G-scale collection to date. Just like the O-gauge setup we looked at previously, the kids really do love getting down low and watching the trains go around. Remember what I said earlier about having a sound system? Well, some of my models do. I really enjoyed displaying my G-scale trains at this show, especially after collecting for almost 10 years now and never doing much more than running them in my front yard. I think out of all the models I had, the Thomas & Friends ones were definitely the most popular among the kids, but quite a few adults were also impressed with the Bachmann Spectrum models I had. I think the most rewarding part of the weekend was being able to enjoy the hobby of model railroading with fellow hobbyists, and that's what it's all about. So that wraps up my weekend at the Allegheny Plateau Division's 2018 Christmas show. I really enjoyed being a part of it, and hopefully I'll be able to set up again at next year's show. I did hear that apparently Division 11 is going to be having a show at the Du Bois Mall in the spring, so if everything works out, I'd like to set up at that show as well. I want to take the time to thank Bob McKay and Gary Lasher, as well as all the other club members of Division 11 for letting me set up this year. If anyone's interested in learning more about Division 11, I'll be sure to leave a link to their website in the video description. Thanks for watching, and I hope you all have a Merry Christmas.